Those of you who saw my last video, Top 10 Nintendo 64 games, know that I love Goldeneye. It wasn't exactly built on story, nor did it leave that much of an impression, but come on, it's James Bond. It's supposed to be fun. Unlike most first-person shooters, Goldeneye came with a wide variety of different kinds of levels. Stealth missions, escort missions if you were just barge in and destroy everything you see, and even a vehicle segment. Some were really good, others not so much. Because of this, I'll be ranking all 20 levels in order from my least favorite to my favorite. I'm just going to warn you right now, I might get a bit mad during the first few entries on this list, as I'm starting with the worst. So without further ado, let's just start the list. Let's start off this list with what may very well be the worst escort mission of all time, which is saying quite a bit, the Control Center. I cannot tell you how much I hate this level. The objectives to this level are to protect Natalia, disable the Goldeneye satellite, and to destroy the armored mainframes with some remote mines. At first, it's a decent level. Natalia doesn't get in the way, they're on a cheap amount of bad guys, and the mainframes aren't that hard to find. After that, you lead Natalia to the main control room, where she works on shutting down the satellite. It sets off an alarm, and you have to defend her from an onslaught of infinitely respawning soldiers. That's right, people. They don't just aim for you, they try to kill her too. This would have been kind of justified if you were able to hear the footsteps, but you can't. So basically, while you're fighting one, another could just come up from the other side, meaning that you can't hear them until he's already fired his gun. And if they do kill her, you lose. End of story. And even if you do manage to defend her long enough, you haven't won yet. No, that would be too easy. Then you have to go through a newly unlocked door, destroy the last mainframe, and escape through the elevator while fending off infinitely respawning guards that sometimes appear to come out of nowhere. It may not sound that bad, but often, you're not completely sure where to go. So yeah, the Control Center is just a cheap, unforgiving level, and easily my least favorite in the game. Oh look, another escort mission is near the bottom of the list. Who would have guessed? The first bunker was great, but the second is just plain mean. The objectives on hard mode are to compare the staff and casualty list, recover a CCTV tape, disable the security cameras, find the Goldeneye operations manual, and, you guessed it, protect Natalia. And you have to do this while being pursued by dozens of guards who are all coming after you escaped your cell. Luckily, they don't aim for Natalia, but sometimes she's literally walking in front of their gunfire, and just like before, that means game over. And get this, the guards will spawn copies of themselves until the original one is killed, and setting off any kind of alarm will alert all of them. The objects you need to recover are hidden in places that are honestly kind of cheap, and the building is designed so that guards can sneak up on you from behind and open fire. Overall, the second bunker level may not be as bad as the Control Center, but it's definitely a terrible one that could have been executed far better, especially considering that this is rare where we're talking about. Alright, now here's the last level on the list that I consider bad, and thank God it's not an escort mission. The main objectives of the statue level are to contact Valentin, confront an unmasked Janice, locate the helicopter, rescue Natalia, and find the flight recorder. This sounds like a decent level, and really would have been if it wasn't a labyrinth. A dark, gloomy labyrinth with, once again, infinitely respawning enemies who can easily sneak up on you. I actually had to use a map to even beat this on easy mode. The maze isn't that annoying at first, unless you're trying to do a speed run. But after confronting Janice by Lenon's statue, he tells you that a helicopter with Natalia in it is about to explode by the gate on the exact other side of the map. And it's a maze. A dark, gloomy maze. I cannot tell you how many times this part alone has bested me. After you rescued her, you basically won. The flight recorder is just lying around somewhere. Then you leave and you're done with this monstrosity. To sum it all up, the statue is the level you'll want a map to go to with. Otherwise, you'll just get lost at all the confusing turns you have to make, or get killed by the Janice Special Forces who always seem to be hiding in the most annoying places. This is definitely a level I wish I could skip. Subterranean caverns. Talk about a disappointing penultimate level. It's not bad, it's just really underwhelming. The objectives on hard mode are to destroy the inlet and outlet pipe controls, destroy the master control console, use a radio to contact Jack Wade, which never really happened in the movie, and to minimize scientist casualties. I haven't beaten this level on hard, mostly because I don't care enough to, so I don't know about the first. In design, the level really isn't anything spectacular, it's pretty basic. There's nothing really annoying about this level other than one room, the one with a radio you need to contact Jack Wade. If you don't kill the soldiers in the room fast enough, one will throw a grenade and accidentally kill himself, 2 scientists, and destroy the radio. So basically, you could fail 2 objectives in 1 second. Other than that, there's nothing really cheap about this level, which is why I consider it better than the last 3, but there's nothing really extraordinary about it either. It's also really easy unless you don't know how to find Trevelyan in the elevator, which actually took me a while to do myself. So basically, you have to assume that the card keys you just got opens a random door that you might have not even thought was a door, which leads to the end of the level. Yeah, this game pulls things like that a lot. Well, at least you don't have to escort Natalia. The runway is the 3rd level in Goldeneye, and like the subterranean caverns, it's really nothing special. The objectives are to find the ignition key, destroy heavy gun emplacements, destroy the missile battery, and escape in the plane. Wait, what? The only one of these that happened in the movie was the last one. There were no drone guns or missile battery. You didn't even need a key to get in. Whatever, I guess licensed games need to make changes. Even after adding 3 objectives, this is a really short level, and an underwhelming one at that. And you get to ride in a tank. How did they make a level with a tank underwhelming? Imagine if in The Last Crusade, all they made the tank do was blow up a missile battery. If you're gonna change the story this much, you might as well add another tank controlled by the bad guys. That would have been an awesome boss fight. Don't worry though, the only really annoying thing if you know what you're doing is that the soldiers can destroy the plane before you escape. But that's never happened to me. I know I'm making this sound like a bad level, but it really isn't. In fact, it's actually kind of decent. But again, how do you make a level with a tank just kind of decent? Oh look, another level with a tank that could have been better. That's right, the only 2 single-player levels in the entire game with a tank are both not that great. The mission objectives are to pursue Oramov and Natalia, contact Valentin again, and minimize civilian casualties. The last one sounds easy, just don't kill any random people. It would be if they didn't have terrible AI and occasionally walk in front of your tank when they're trying to get away. Rare, let me ask you something. Do you really think that people are stupid enough to run in front of a tank, or are you just lazy with the programming? Other than that part, the level itself is okay, just don't get lost and you'll be fine. But wait a second, the street chase scene in the movie was one of the best parts. But again, how do you take one of the greatest moments of one of the greatest movies of one of the greatest action movie franchises of all time and put a tank in it and come out with something that's overall just meh? Oh well, at least you can fire your gun when in the tank as well as shooting the missiles, so that's easier to take out the soldiers without having to run them over, because if you do, this happens. I know the last 5 levels haven't been all that great, but this is where we get into the good stuff. The depot comes right after the streets level and has 5 objectives on hard mode. Locate Trevelyan's train, destroy the computer network, obtain the safe key, recover the helicopter blueprints, and destroy the illegal arms cache. I've only beaten this level on easy, mostly because I haven't played it too much, but I've heard that's really hard on medium and hard mode, so that's just a warning. This level is full of Janus Marine Guards with D5K Duce weapons. I don't know. These guys aren't too annoying, but they can be at some times because, like the statue level, it's really dark out and you can't really see them coming. Luckily it's not a maze though, so finding a way usually isn't too hard. However, during your playthrough, it might take quite a bit to find the train. There's also a lot of body armor in this level, so you don't have to worry too much if you're on medium or easy. Oh, and as for the train, we'll be getting more into that later. The second visit to the surface is almost as good as the first, and it's basically the same layout as the first. Just with security cameras, tougher guards, and guess what? It's hard to see! The objectives on hard are to disrupt all surveillance equipment, break the communications link to the bunker, blow up the helicopter, and gain entry to the bunker to start my second least favorite level in the game. As I said earlier, the area is dimly lit, so it may be hard for you to find your way around at some points. Just like 2 other levels we've already talked about. The enemies in this place are armed with clogs, which are rather weak, and KF-7 Soviets, which really aren't. The cameras are hidden in annoying places, but it shouldn't take you too long to find them. To break the communications link to the bunker, all you have to do is go inside the building with a satellite dish and blow up the computers. Make sure you don't set off any alarms, or you have to deal with some Arctic commandos, which don't exactly make things easier. Oh, and that time mine you started out with? Whatever you do, do not throw it. You'll need to use it to destroy the helicopter I mentioned earlier. And if you use it on something else, then congratulations, you failed the mission. Here's a medal. After that, just go through the door right near where the helicopter was if you destroyed all the security cameras, and you've completed the mission. The next entry in this list is the 6th level in the game, the silo. Even though nothing like this happened in the Goldeneye movie. Anyways, the objectives are to photograph a satellite, obtain telemetric data, get the satellite circuitry, minimize scientist casualties, and plant bombs in the fuel room. Wait a minute, that last objective is only required on hard mode, and on hard mode there's a timer that indicates how much time you have left before the building explodes. So if the building is going to explode anyways, then why would you need to plant any bombs? Oh, and speaking of those bombs, whatever you do, don't mess with them. If you end up shooting it, it won't just make a small explosion. No, the entire building will blow up. After going through most of the levels, you'll run into Oramov with a bunch of soldiers shooting at you. Then you just follow Oramov into the room he flees to, go in an elevator, and you've completed the mission. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this level had kind of a lazy design. I mean, almost every single room felt like it was either a hallway with 3 doors and a bunch of soldiers, an engine room, or just part of one huge room where this missile will be launched. Some variety would be nice. Keep up the hard work, Rareware. NJK, love you guys. After considering how hard the last unlockable level was, more on that later, I was expecting the Egyptian temple to be downright insane. And honestly, after beating it numerous times, it's a really good level, it's just not that hard compared to the last one. Regardless on what difficulty you're on, the objectives are to retrieve the golden gun and to defeat Baron Samedi. I would recommend finding the golden gun before you confront Samedi, as it's not only good to get out of the way quickly, but it will also help a lot down the road. To get the golden gun, you have to enter a room with a pedestal that has a gun on it, and complete a very tedious and complex puzzle involving the tiles that you should probably just look up how to do. If you mess up during the puzzle, you'll get blasted by all 4 turrets and have to escape to start the puzzle all over again. Come on guys, even Majora's Mask isn't this cryptic. Once you do get it, you basically won. The golden gun will instantly kill any soldiers you come across, making it one of the strongest weapons in the entire game. After that, you just need to fight Samedi 3 times, each time taking place in a different location, and you've won. The golden gun makes this part way too easy, and this is referring to an area full of Russian infantry who are in Egypt for no explained reason, wielding dual ZMGs. I'm no gun expert, but those are pretty good weapons. When it comes down to it, the Egyptian temple is a great level, though it is way too easy if you get the golden gun before fighting the boss. We're halfway done with this list, and it looks like we're finally getting into the really good stuff. The main objectives of the first surface level, the 4th level in the game, are to power down the communications dish, obtain the safety, steal the building plans, and enter the base via ventilation tower. These objectives are very straightforward, though I must warn you, when you find the computer that allows you to turn off the communications dish, don't destroy it, otherwise the satellite will turn back on and you will not be able to shut it down again. Also, a bunch of troops with body armor and 2 guns will come after you, which usually isn't a good thing. As for the other objectives, you just need to check all of the houses for the safe key, the big key to get into the building with the plans, and the building plans themselves. This isn't too hard because it's morning, meaning that you can see past a few feet in front of you for once. Then, just find the ventilation tower, shoot the locks, and climb down the bunker. The surface is also the first level where you encounter the grenade launcher, one of my favorite weapons in the game, really just because it causes explosions. First level in the game, the dam is surprisingly one of the best. Sure, it just throws you in there without any tutorial or knowledge about the gameplay, but in terms of design, it's still pretty dang good. The mission objectives on hard mode are to neutralize all alarms, install a covert modern whatever that is, intercept data backup, and bungee jump from a platform, with only one happening in the movie. Now that I think about it, the scene where he bungee jumped off the dam was literally the beginning of the movie. There was no truck or sniper towers or freaking covert modem. He just jumped off and went into the facility. Yeah, I remember watching Goldeneye back in 1995. My favorite scene was the one where Bond put a covert modem on the computer monitor. I also loved it when he obtained the telemetric data from the silo. Wasn't that awesome? I mean, imagine if your friend asked and called, "Hey bro, what you doing playing Goldeneye?" "Oh cool, what level are you on?" "First one." I'm at the one where you're supposed to intercept the data backup. But maybe I'm looking too far into this. It's a 90s game, so I can let it pass. The one thing I can't let pass is how there's no tutorial at all. At least show a diagram explaining the controls. Okay, so they kinda do it on the pause menu, but you don't know that at the beginning. But that's just a minor complaint, and it's the only one I have with this level. It's a good one, but it's not the best in the game.
Now you listen to me, Trooper boy. We got a swamp full of black Russians driving boats to beat the dam down here.
Okay, I know that the intelligent archives are kind of an odd choice to be this high on the list, but I still stand by my opinion, and I think we can all agree that's a breath of fresh air after the statue level. The objectives are to escape the interrogation room, find Natalia, recover the helicopter black box, and escape with Natalia. You start in the interrogation room with 2 armed interrogators, and for some reason they left a loaded gun on the desk directly in front of you. I know that soldiers in this game have terrible AI, but are you kidding me? So it probably sounds easy. Get the gun, shoot the guys, and escape, right? Wrong. Once you fire your gun, the guards will hear and start flooding the interrogation room. This is the hardest part of the level, as they're all shooting at you at once. They can take many hits on higher difficulty, and they just keep coming! Once you find an opening, escape the room and look for Natalia. You may be thinking that this is just another escort mission, but thankfully by the time you've reached her, there aren't too many soldiers around. If there's one major problem with this level, it's that there are too many rooms in the building. You probably won't get lost or anything, but it may be hard to find the right room. Once you've completed the first 3 objectives and have Natalia with you, just break one of the large windows and drop out. Apparently, Natalia can actually be killed in the ending cinematic, thus failing the mission. It's never really happened to me, but honestly, that's just dumb. Fergan is the 7th place on this list, and also the 7th level in the game. It's clever somehow. The main objectives are to rescue the hostages that weren't in the movie, disarm the bridge and engine room bombs that weren't in the movie, and plant a tracking bug on the helicopter that actually was in the movie. I'm not gonna lie, the hostages in this place are infuriating. You have to kill the soldiers aiming at them before they shoot them without accidentally shooting the hostages. They'll sometimes run right at you from an open door while trying to leave the ship, and you can easily mistake them for a baddie and shoot them on instinct. There's even one part where the soldier shoots a hostage before I can even enter that room. I don't even get a chance. Other than the hostages, everything is great. There really isn't much else to say about this level other than the fact that for once there are no infinitely respawning enemies like a lot of other ones, meaning that you don't have to worry about random guards appearing out of nowhere and shooting at you. The final level of the entire game did not disappoint. Well, maybe a little bit, but they could have made it far worse. The main objectives of the Cradle are to disarm the Goldeneye satellite and to defeat Trevelyan, finally actually following the movie. The beginning is the annoying part, as you're on a thin metal bridge and enemies can start firing on you when you're too far to see them, but their accuracy is just fine. After that, a countdown to the time when the satellite fires begins, but shutting it off doesn't take that long if you know what you're doing. After that, a boss fight against 006 begins. Sounds exciting, right? What's he gonna do, get in a helicopter and fire away? Or maybe he'll have a rocket launcher. Nah, all he does is run away and send troops at you as you shoot at him. Once you hit him enough times, he'll escape to the bottom of the cradle, and he'll either shoot you off the building, or you'll shoot him. It's a decent boss fight, but I have one major problem with it. I don't have footage of this, but after beating the boss, 2 soldiers came down and killed me before the ending cutscene could even be triggered. That's bad programming, especially for a company like Rareware. Oh well, the Cradle is still an amazing level, and just barely missed making it into the top 5. It could have been a lot better, but they could have screwed it up more. Imagine if they had made another escort mission for Natalia. Never mind, don't want to talk about it. Although the second bunker level was unnecessarily frustrating and annoying, the first one is one of the best stealth missions in the entire game. Sure, it's a bit tricky, but it's still very well made. The main objectives are to destroy all the security cameras, photograph some computer thingy, copy the Goldeneye key and leave the original, activate a computer, and download data from it. This may not seem too hard, but if a camera sees you or a soldier activates the alarm, an infinite barrage of guards will come at you 3 at a time. This may not be too bad on easy, but on other levels it can completely screw everything up and you'll get killed. In order to complete the bunker on hard and expert mode, you do have to set it off eventually, but you should save this part for last. There's also some easy to find body armor in case you need it, but you can only get it on easy or medium. I know I've had at least a small gripe with every other level up to this point, but for this one I've got nothing. It's hard but fair, there are no infinitely respawning enemies unless you screw up, and the objectives really aren't too cryptic. One thing I never got though is that the alarm doesn't go off after destroying the camera. Sure, it would be unfair, but wouldn't the people watching the cameras find it weird that someone is going around shooting them? You know what, screw it, this is Goldeneye. The facility was really good for the second level in the game. It was easy enough on lower difficulties, but had enough challenge to make it harder than the first one. The main objectives are to get into the laboratory, find the double agent, meet with 006, this is before he becomes evil, destroy all the tanks in the bottling room, and don't kill any scientists. You start out in the air vent and end up in a bathroom. You do some exploring and find yourself in the laboratory eventually, but before that you need to meet with a double agent. In the room you meet up with him, do not destroy any of the containers. They will emit a toxic gas and slowly kill you. Oh, and when you see a man in a black suit running towards you, don't shoot him. That's 006, but the game gives no indication that it is. Talk to him, blow up the tanks with your sticky bombs, and escape. If you wait a little longer, or often some infinitely responding guards will come and kill Trevelyan, which is supposed to happen, so don't worry. The first time I played this, I actually thought I had to fight them all off and ended up dying. Come to think of it, that would have been awesome if there was a limited amount of them. It didn't happen in the movie, but neither did your freaking covert modem. Speaking of which, other than a double agent, the level follows the movie pretty well. If there's one problem I have, besides 006 being able to be shot by you, is that while going to the bottling room, enemies you didn't kill in past rooms will follow you and shoot, meaning that you may have to stay in one place and kill them all before you move on, which isn't that exciting. Maybe the reason I like the jungle so much is how different it is. Rather than sneaking around, shooting guys, and obtaining telemetric data, your only real cover is trees, which do help. The main objectives are to destroy the drone guns, kill Xenia, blow up the ammo dump, and escort Natalia to the Janus base. Now I know what you're thinking. Another escort mission? Actually, no! Natalia helps you. You heard me right. For once, Natalia helps you! First boss in the game also appears in this level, Xenia. She's a real joke in this level, but I'll get to that in another video. Hint, hint. The drone guns sound like a pain to fight, but luckily they're destroyed in a few hits, and they're not that well hidden. There's a big shootout at the end, and it's freaking awesome. Call of Duty ain't got nothing on this. Battlefield 4? What is this, amateur hour? Goldeneye's where it's at, boy! They infinitely respawn, but once you find a gap in their formation, you can charge through and reach the elevator, thus ending the level. So yeah, the only problem I have with the jungle is that the body armor is hidden in the shadows, so you may miss it, but that's just a nitpick. This level is amazing, but there are two that I think are way better in the end. The train is another one of those levels that kinda happened. There was a train, but there wasn't anything like this. This is one of those few levels where you need to use the cover system to beat it efficiently. Luckily, this isn't used in every room, so it doesn't get boring like in other games. At the first chunk of the level, there are enemy soldiers firing at you from behind crates, so you can't just walk up to them and mow them down. At least not on any level besides easy. The objectives are to destroy the brake units, rescue Natalia, crack Boris's password, locate the Janus secret base, and escape the train before Trevelyan blows it up. That last objective is hard to figure out if you haven't seen the movie, which is a recurring problem with this game. You're supposed to use your laser watch to open a sealed trapdoor and then get out. Come on, how are you supposed to figure that out without seeing the movie? It's not as bad as that tornado in Castlevania 2 or that random patch of dirt in Majora's Mask, but it's still pretty cryptic. But the Boris's passcode part is even worse. You're supposed to shoot Xenia before she escapes, delaying the countdown and allowing Natalia to crack the passcode. Not only is there no indication given that you have to do this, but it wasn't even in the movie. Are you kidding me? There are also some guys shooting at you after you've escaped the train. This sounds cheap, but they're far enough away to miss most of the time. Honestly, this level is a masterpiece overall, but there was one level in this game that I think is superior. Many of you already know what it is, and you're probably really surprised. I know what you're thinking. How could the Aztec Complex be number 1? The Complex is a universally hated level that most people consider to be the worst in the game, but I think it's easily the best. So why do I love it so much? Easy, the challenge. Without a doubt, it is the hardest area in the game, and possibly one of the hardest in any game. In fact, I've never beaten it on any level other than easy. For those of you who don't know, the Aztec is actually based off a scene from Moonraker, another Bond movie, and it's the first unlockable level. The two objectives are to reprogram the shuttle launch, and to launch the shuttle. This sounds easy, but on your way you'll have to deal with the soldiers with assault rifles and Moonraker lasers, 4 turrets in one room alone, in the infamous ladder that takes a long time to climb where you can get shot off of, and Jaws, the most famous and beloved Bond henchman of all time, and also the boss. Sounds cool, but this guy is literally the human equivalent of Mechagodzilla. He takes tons of hits, deals a ton of damage, and will attack if he's easy. I've only beaten him on medium mode once. After that, you have to go back to one of the first rooms to complete the first objective, and deal with a bunch of infinitely respawning guards with dual laser guns. Then you have to go back to the launch site, start the launch sequence, and wait for the countdown to stop. But you know what? That's why I love it. You can't just beat some guys and press a few buttons. You're constantly on your toes, making sure that no guards are anywhere in the room. And come on, you have to admit, the first time you beat this level, you are the king of the world, the greatest gamer of all time. Now, except for anyone who beat Battletoads or Silver Surfer. Anyways guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. You know, unless I've been killed by Jaws for the millionth time.